Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to An Impact on Your Health. An Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. An Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. An Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, it is a Friday. It is a get 'em up out of town version of the show as we try to bring you each and every Friday. Got a couple things on my plate. We'll get to a Boresha report early. Then halfway, going to connect with Richard Finn. He's been in my office now for a number of months, working with frequency-specific microcurrent. And he thinks, and I agree, it's time to report back to you on how well we've been doing with microcurrent, maybe to encourage you to pursue FSM in the future. Anyway, you can come on in here at any moment and set the agenda as you see it also, certainly by dialing us up at 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. I'll listen for the knock on the door, and I will let you in the store. Okay, then. The month is clipping along. We are at the halfway point today. Today's the 15th of the month, with a couple weeks left and moving right on into Memorial Day weekend. Let's see what's on the agenda as these days click by. On Monday, John Tobridge is going to be our guest. He is a practitioner, alternative practitioner from Houston, Texas. And he was one of the top docs that I met down in St. Petersburg, Florida a few weeks ago. He is one of the top docs of the chelation therapy book that really came out of that conference and did such a great job that I said, you really need to present a lot of these facts to my listeners. And so John Tobridge will be our guest on Monday. On Wednesday, another top doc from the original top docs of the Phoenix, Arizona type. About a year ago, we all met out there. The 20 top docs in the country were presenting a chapter that they devoted to a book that emerged from that particular conference. It was an uproarious success, but I got a chance to meet for the first time this gentleman, Dr. Lee Cowden, a board-certified cardiologist that chucked it all in and said, no more of this, I want some of that, and moved into the alternative realm and really has set the pace for a lot of us in that realm. One of the areas of alternative medicine that confuses the bejesus out of everybody are the energy therapies. This man understands them to the limit and will be presenting energy therapies as he sees it on our Wednesday, May 20th show. Lee Cowden has written a book on the subject called Energy Therapies. We'll be discussing it in great length at that time. Now, at the end of the month, sort of right after the Memorial Day weekend, the 27th, also Wednesday, Mike Legal will be here. He represents a company known as First Alternatives and is very much involved with one of the microcurrent units that we put the full force of our reputation behind. This was the Avasia unit, and we're going to be talking about Avasia and how you may be able to use it in your own management of your own pain problems and other medical issues. That's Mike Legal, our guest on the 27th. We'll flip the page at the end of the month, of course, moving into June. Just as the month has shaped up right now, Susan Smith-Jones, our guest on June 10th, and the gunslinger, David Minkoff. Dr. David Minkoff goes after Lyme's disease on a daily basis, and he wins considerable amount of time. We're going to be talking to the gunslinger himself on the 17th of June. That's how far ahead I had to book him, but I'll bring him here and let you meet the gunslinger himself. Eye protocols? Well, yeah, we're starting with a special one on Monday. It's our first foray into the cataract clinic. Many of you were here about a week ago trying to learn about our cataract program. It was enhanced by the addition of a unique medical device known as the Beamer. The Beamer is one of the representatives of a series of medical devices using PEMF. That, of course, stands for Pulsed Electromagnetic Field Therapies. And this device has really allowed Dr. Todd Wiley, our guest of a week ago, to talk to us about how effective it's been in treating cataracts. We've brought it in our office. The Beamer is now drivable in the office, and that will play a large role in our cataract program, along with multiple other modalities. I'll let you know how it goes. It's a 4-day clinic. Our first one here starts on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Of course, I'll report back to you and how effective our results are. We're going to have Dr. Bowen assess these patients on day 1 and day 4 to answer the question, can the dreaded surgery for lens replacement, which is the only treatment for cataracts, can it be avoided? My answer is already yes, but let me come across with the effective documentation of how successful we are. I'll report that back to you as soon as I can, obviously. And by the way, next program to be held here in June, for those of you with eye issues, whether they're retinal or cataract, I think we're combining them, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Obviously, the 25th also in the case of the cataracts. The next eye program coming up in June. Okay. What else? Vitamin C kits. You asked for them. We put them together a couple of years ago now because you wanted a liposomal form of non-corn-derived vitamin C that didn't cost you an arm and a leg. Well, we went out and find the products to be able to put that kit together. Vitamin C, citrus-derived, not corn-derived, mixed with lecithin that's non-soy-derived, will produce a liposomal form of vitamin C for just pennies when compared to the commercial grades that are available. You finally put them in a ultrasonic jewelry cleaner. Yes, you heard that right. It makes the two congeal together and forms a bond that allows you to have a liposomal form of vitamin C that will be fully absorbable for just pennies. You want to call in to find out more about this. Give us a call at 724-942-3002 and talk to Sister Sarah, and she'll get you fitted up for one of these kits. We just got a batch of the new vitamin C in. We get it sent to us in a drum. It's a powdered form, and in there are 10 bags of 2.2 pounds. That's 1 kilo apiece. That's right, folks. You're getting a full kilo. Lasts 2 years if you just take 1,000 milligrams a day. As I say, just pennies. The vitamin kits are available. You, I hope, enjoyed our Wednesday show. I believe it's now in the platinum vault side of the equation. Ed Kane brought to you a message of how you deal with mineral deficiencies, and then on the flip side of it, how by dealing with those deficiencies, you're actually able to get rid of heavy metals in a way that's completely natural. I've referred to it as natural chelation. I'm going to promote it, and if you want to find out more, I suggest you dial up the show that we did on Wednesday. It's in the archives. Go to djcmd.com or Dennis J. Courtney, medicaldoctor.com, and on the opening page, click on the icon marked archives. That'll take you to the list of all of my shows, but the one of just Wednesday will be displayed very prominently. Take a listen to it. I plan on making it an extra credit book report in my office quite frequently with Ed Kane. It's a classic, and of course you can go to bodybio.com, which is Ed Kane's website, and at bodybio.com you'll be able to dial up the opening page, the YouTube, 3 YouTube presentations that allow him to present in a very concise fashion the whole thing that we talked about for a show on Wednesday. I think the two blend quite nicely and will enrich you to the point where you'll be able to decide whether you want to move through mineral replacement or not. Okay, let's do this, folks. Let's take a short break, and in the interim, we're going to connect. It's about time for another Boresha report. We just met with Keith Colby last week. He's here with us this week to talk a bit about the Boresha line and up-and-coming events. Be right back in a moment with Keith. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AIM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on a Friday version of the show, and we've gotten pretty comfortable with listening to a Boresha report. We first brought this unique company and line of products to you about a year now, and it is something I continue to back. I think it's a wonderful way to take care of weight issues as well as carbohydrate issues through a unique line of thermogenic products that one of a kind, only Boresha makes. Today we're with Mr. Keith Golbeck, who was our guest last week, and bringing you up to speed on Boresha issues. We're going to take about 15 minutes before we take another break and then update you on frequency-specific microcurrent with Mr. Richard Finn. Keith is with us right now. Let's say good morning and welcome back. Keith, it's a Friday. It's time to hear more about Boresha.
Good morning. Hold on. It's good to be back.
I'm losing you, Keith.
Let's see if that's like an announcement going on. Hang on one second.
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me now?
I got you. Okay, yeah, stick with me. You're perfect. You're loud and clear right now.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it's good to be back and chat a little bit more about Boresha, some of the exciting things that are happening with the company and the product. We do have, if I could jump right to, I just want to mention there is an event, a regional event coming up in June in Harrisburg, not too far from here, the Summer Regional Conference. And due to some of the explosive growth and activity and in the Pennsylvania area, they have moved this meeting to the Pennsylvania area for Pennsylvania participants. So it'll be in Harrisburg, and it'll be the weekend of June 12th and 13th. And I know the president and founder of the company and many of the important principals, the lead scientists, will be there to talk about Boresha, answer questions, training, help people on their way in their meeting their nutritional goals and needs, and how Boresha products can do that for them. And I believe, and we don't have specifics, so maybe get that for next week, that they may make a stop in Pittsburgh on their way to Harrisburg.
Yes, they will. Little Birdie told me that, by the way, Little Birdie's name is George Najjar. He happens to be the CEO of Boresha. I was on a phone call with him this past week, and yeah, we got activities coming up in Pittsburgh too. So don't necessarily certainly gas up the vehicle and attend the regional meeting. I think there's always a benefit there, but I'm trying to arrange that those of you in Western Pennsylvania can do it a little more locally. I promise to bring you more information, and Keith, you're going to find out more on this matter, because I think I even pulled one on you. You didn't even know about it.
You did.
Okay.
Great news. I'm really excited. George Najjar, you mentioned, he is the president and founder of the company, and for him to reach out you and those of us in the Pittsburgh area and say, hey, we're going to come by, I think that's a fantastic opportunity. I know George, well, last time he was in Pittsburgh, had a unique opportunity, and I believe you were there as well. He was kind of just hanging out in the hotel lobby, and a couple of us got a chance to sit and talk. He's very genuinely interested in people and helping people along their way, and he'll be here, and I know he's available, making available to answer questions and meet people and things of that nature. And so it's a great opportunity for us here. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. And so Boresha has offered many tastings in the area. They have a unique product line consisting of a coffee, a tea, and a lemonade, as well as a sweetener, all natural, nothing artificial in any of it, and having this unique thermogenic quality. I was hoping, my favorite of these products is the coffee. By the way, folks, I'm just waiting on my Boresha order to arrive, and we're going to get the pods of coffee in, and I want you to come on in and have a pod on me. Get a pod. And just try out the coffee right here in the office, right at the moment that I hand you the pod. We'll get the hot water going, and I think you might agree, if you're a coffee drinker, Tell us more about the coffee. Why is it that this is, well, it is the signature product, and it deserves to be the signature product. After all, it's what got everything started. But what's so unique about this coffee, Keith?
Yeah, let's focus on the coffee a bit this week. I think it would be a great idea. We've talked about the coffee, and I've mentioned how good it tastes, how it's helping, but we haven't gone in, I think, into the specifics. And I was introduced to this coffee last fall. I mentioned I'm a bit of a coffee myself, and I thought I'm never going to like this coffee, and I can't imagine drinking anything else now after drinking this coffee. But just based on the flavor alone, I know there's a lot of alternatives out there, and many people go on health and nutrition plans, some don't. But one thing I've noticed, and probably you've noticed, coffee drinkers will keep their coffee. I've heard you call it the go-to drink. And one of the things that Joe Giuliano said at the meeting on Monday was kind of interesting. He said, if we knew the world was going to end today, when we got up, coffee drinkers would still have their cup of coffee. So I just think with that in mind, I like to say change your coffee, change your life, or change something. We can get to more of that in a minute. But for coffee drinkers specifically, and if you're not a coffee drinker, there's help there too, and more on that maybe next time. But coffee drinkers, we pour so much pollution into our system. The coffee, we have creamers, sweeteners, and all this other fancy stuff. Why not drink something good for you instead? That's where we come to this product called the Boresha Lean, available in grinds for a coffee maker or in pods if you just mentioned, or in a quick instant drink. And just add boiling hot water, and we call this product Lean. And one of the things that makes this special, Boresha uses 100% organic, AA Arabica beans. They're fair trade sourced. They're roasted using something very unique to Boresha, and that's an infrared roasting technology. Boresha has also included it's a patent-pending compound to the coffee to support weight loss and have healthy metabolism. Boresha, what differentiates Boresha is it's the only functional coffee available that has a superior coffee quality, as we mentioned, organic, AA Arabica, fair trade. It has the infrared roasting and healthy benefits. It's 100% organic, meaning the organic, as you know, and have pesticides, synthetic materials. No organic methods are used anywhere in the process, cultivating, harvesting, shipping, roasting, or packaging. So
it's a pure product, no doubt about it.
Pure product. And so the infrared roasting, I mentioned that. Let me mention that a little bit here. The infrared roasting, this is state of the art in the industry. If you've drank coffee that has a burnt taste or a bitter taste or bitter aftertaste, that is because we roast or we burn the coffee beans and we make coffee. That's how we get coffee to the place where it can turn into a beverage. It's roasted. Well, that's done with a flame, and the fire, the burning, or the cooking of the bean, the outside of the bean, would cause it. In infrared, it's a unique process that Boresha is one of the only coffees in the world that is infrared roasted. This coffee, no fire touches the bean. It's very interesting. The bean still can be roasted, but it doesn't get hit with fire. And because of that, it's a much smoother, richer, even a chocolatey flavor to the coffee. It makes a huge difference in the overall taste. That's the best way I describe it, which is smoothness. And all of those things combined together is what makes this Lean coffee different from any other coffee or product on the market. There is an ingredient called splendronol that's also patent pending, and that's a special blend that's added to the coffee. It has unique clinically tested ingredients. There's a patented form of green coffee bean that's standardized with 50% chlorogenic acid, and the patent pending also Boresha's own unique form of chromium that's found in niacin and cysteine. And all of these things work together for the benefits, which, as we know, Boresha helps support weight loss. But it does more than that. The coffee helps support weight loss. It helps support the body, burn fat, and promote lean body mass. And it also promotes that thermogenic effect, which helps the body shed unwanted fat.
Yeah, that thermogenicity, I believe, is real. I remember, and I can't recall. You drink 1 cup of this coffee, and it's like you. Is it like walked for 20 minutes or ran? Do you remember this conversion rate? Because I thought it was fascinating to learn that 1 cup of coffee could produce the calorie burn of a pretty strenuous physical activity. Am I right about this?
You're correct, and the way it does it in the slendronol compound, the ingredients in the slendronol, the green coffee helps the body burn fat. It blocks an enzyme. So to get energy, the body uses stored body fat. And it uses that stored body fat as stored energy. So the chromium helps metabolize the glucose, and that reduces the body fat production. And so that also inhibits the excess glucose being stored as fat. And then the caffeine helps stimulate a thermogenic activity, and that boosts metabolism. And then you get your body gets the energy from the fat. And I believe that's where you also see the health benefits. It was reduction of the fat. And it does, I don't quite remember the exact number. I know I know what you're mentioning there, but I believe it was like a 20-minute walk. And
drink a cup of coffee and sit down and let your fat be burn up because of this thermogenicity. It's just a unique concept with an organic product, which right off the bat is pure. I mean, when confronted with as much as I know about how pesticides are used in the growing of the coffee bean, it is difficult to find a organic source just for starters, let alone one that has these properties of being satiety quenching as well as thermogenicity. So it's an excellent product that certainly deserves to be the signature product, as it really was conceived in that way by Mr. George Najjar, who is a pretty outstanding coffee drinker himself, and wanted to put a company together, and happened to be holding a cup of coffee at the time, as the story goes. And they asked him, "Well, what's this company going to deal with? What's it going to sell?" And he goes, "Why not coffee?" And that's a true story of how Boresha began. A fascinating one. So a lot of up-and-coming stuff with the Boresha. They actually do have a complete plan. What's it called? The 7-to-7 plan or something like that you should at least mention?
Right. The 7-to-7 nutrition and lifestyle guide. As you mentioned, you could drink the coffee and do nothing. No, that's not what we recommend, but it's the idea of getting the point across that you have that same effect. And so when you add proper nutrition and exercise and things of that nature to this program, then you receive even more benefits. So the 7-to-7 nutrition guide, it has 7 steps there for the name, and it focuses on not only the product. You begin, of course, with the product, and that's catalyst, step 1. It starts with you picking the product you like, and we all have different tastes, drink different things, and we mentioned the coffee. And there's also the tea and the lemon and the sweetener, the Sudolin. So we begin with a product. That's the catalyst. This is to get you started. That's why I say you change something. I always say change your coffee, change your life. But, let's start making changes and implementing those changes. And so we begin with something to get us going. That's the catalyst. And that is with whatever product you prefer. I drink all 3 of them throughout the day. I have my coffee in the morning, tea with lunch, and I have my lemon later in the day. And I tell you, maybe you don't always notice the difference during the day. I usually feel energy, but when I really notice is when I miss the day, and I really feel the effect of not having that product. So we begin with the catalyst, and then step 2, we move on to nutrition, and there's a full nutrition guide. We maybe talk about more on another day. And that, of course, has been developed by the Boresha team of scientists that works with the product. And it's designed to help you achieve your personal health goals. So there's a nutrition is the second step in this process. Step 3 is exercise, and exercise is what's building on steps 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
You get into step 4, it starts to get interesting. And step 4, we spend time talking about overcoming. And let's pick one major unhealthy habit. Let's just tackle one. And if you tackle one at a time before too long, maybe you've eliminated some of the things that are getting in the way of you achieving your goals.
Okay, and 5?
Focus on 1.
And what's 5?
Then step 5 is cleanse. And that's not just your body, but mind and spirit. Step 6 is intensify and focus to shape up. And then we get to step 7, which is maintaining maintenance. So you maintain through this program while pursuing, of course, a lifelong balance. So we have 7 steps. Step 1, I think we're all familiar enough with, which is catalyst. We move on to step 2, nutrition, exercise, overcome, cleanse, intensify. And once that's all working for you, then we go into maintenance mode and continue on healthy journey.
I think the point to make here is that the company who has an ideal go-to product for those who wish to lose weight loss also has a complete program to help you through this far and beyond just the product alone. So we're just introducing that today. I know I had mentioned it a number of months ago, and Boresha is back. It's on the move. I want to thank you for coming in today, Keith, and keeping up with the Boresha report. We'll continue to do these. We got happening and occurring in Pittsburgh. I'll let you know as soon as we find out the date and the time and the place, and maybe by the next week, the Boresha report will be able to do just that. All right?
Excellent. Maybe I'll talk to you a little later today off here and iron those things out.
Okay. Thank you very much, Keith.
Thank you for having me on, and great chatting with you and everyone, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day.
Mr. Keith Golby, representative of the Boresha Company. It is a great go-to. Stop in, by the way. My order should be coming in today, if not tomorrow. Get a pod on me. Stop in and pick up a pod, as we say, and try at least the coffee on site. All right. Let's take a short break. And in the interim, connect and move on. It's a fast-paced show today. We're going to switch gears. We introduced the concept of frequency-specific microcurrent to Western Pennsylvania. And why not? We usually do this with just about every health-related issue. It's the first of its kind. And so the gentleman who's got that expertise, his name is Mr. Richard Finn, been coming to my office, want to talk about FSM and report to you, our listeners, on how effective we are with it. Be right back in a moment with Richard. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Here on a Friday morning, get 'em up out of town version of the show. I had a lot on my plate today. We just got completed with our Boresha report, bringing you up to speed on that. And I thought it was appropriate because so long has passed since we first brought the concept of frequency-specific microcurrent to you that Richard was saying, hey, you know what? I'd like to really let our listeners know how we've been doing with it. I thought it was a great idea. And so I invited him on today to spend a few minutes with you and bringing you up to speed on frequency-specific microcurrent utilized in the office by a gentleman who's been practicing and utilizing this particular modality for quite some time. His name is Mr. Richard Finn. He's our go-to person when it comes to FSM in my office. I bring him to you now and say good morning. Thanks for coming aboard, Richard, once again.
Oh, good morning to you, Dr. Courtney. It's good to be here.
Well, I don't know where I'm catching you. Usually on your way from some place to some other place, and I think you're behind the wheel of a car. Are you not?
I absolutely am.
Okay, careful in your driving as you do so. But we brought you into the office because, well, first of all, Shannon Gosen, who really was the person to educate our listeners on frequency-specific microcurrent, and she's geographically undesirable to us because she unfortunately lives in Jacksonville, Florida. But she didn't hesitate when she felt that the person that we really needed to have representing FSM in my office was none other than Richard Finn. Richard, your background is heavily steeped in manual therapies, especially trigger point myotherapy, but you made a conversion a number of years ago to include FSM in your pain practice. Want to just briefly tell us about that to let our listeners know why it is you are the expert that you are?
Well, I've got to tell you, when I first heard about frequency-specific microcurrent, I was tremendously unimpressed. And that was primarily because I had worked in the Army as a physical therapy specialist. I'd been trained in all kinds of electrical modalities, and then I had worked as a chiropractic assistant working with a bunch of electrical modalities, and I thought there was just way too much hype, that it just couldn't possibly deliver what I was hearing, and so I promptly tried to ignore it until Shannon actually used it with my wife and made a tremendous difference in her symptomatology. And when that happened, I immediately went out and got the training, started working with the machine. And what I found was I'm very, very good at trigger point therapy and helping people to get relief from their pain. But this just put that all on steroids, because things that I hadn't been able to fix quite as quickly all of a sudden began to get better much faster. And that is pretty much illustrated in what's happening now at your office. I am getting a number of people with various physical complaints. The ones that really get my attention a lot lately have been low back pain and headache pain.
Okay, why don't you talk about that and your successes and how you've approached a number of patients. I guess an inordinate number of people have this combination of back as well as upper torso and head and neck. How effective have you been with those patients that you've seen?
You know, I got to say, very effective, and there's a huge piece of the effectiveness that gets missed, and that is the relationship between you and I as we treat the patient. And part of that is when I see somebody coming in with low back pain, I keep asking other questions, and oftentimes I'm reading and you've asked these same questions, and we find out that there are a number of things that contribute oftentimes to somebody's symptom. And so not only do we treat the low back pain, but we treat other things that might be perpetuating the problem. Dr. Travell used to call these perpetuating factors. And this is huge because a number of people coming in that have got chronic musculoskeletal complaints, one of the common things we find is maybe there is a problem with their thyroid, and you pick those up. That's one of your big specialties.
Yeah.
Let's do that. This is the effectiveness of this approach with the FSM just goes through the roof, because I can almost always see a change almost immediately with people, at least, within the first 2 or 3 days, oftentimes right at the office. And when we deal with those other things that perpetuate the problem, which is, I think, where most practitioners miss, is that they look at just one problem and don't put the pieces together. And with FSM, we can put the pieces together, and with a physician who's really good at differential diagnosis, we can figure out exactly what it is we need to treat. I really think that's the big 1-2 punch. So with somebody, let's say I've got a patient that's come in with some low back pain, hip pain issues that we've worked with, and this person's had it for a number of years. It's been really severe. And what we've ended up being able to do is to make a huge difference in those with the microcurrent. And that's been the only thing that's changed in this person's life. So they might strain themselves and feel a little pain, but they know when they wake up in the morning it's going to be gone. And that has not been the case for years. So we've made a huge quality of life change. And this is a very common thing that we see with people.
Well, I can tell you that I've learned so much from Shannon, and I think 2 things I probably will just pass on as like a go-to message when it comes to FSM, and that is microcurrent is always beneficial and it's never harmful. I think that's the first point I want to make, because I always love therapies that can do no harm, and this certainly is one of them. The second thing that's a take-home message that I've been able to garnish from my exposure to both you and Shannon is the more precise that we can make the diagnoses from the get-go, the greater opportunity we're going to have at getting this turned around. And literally, a person who has low back pain and let's say headache, because that's the hypothetical that we were talking about today, that may be common to 5 or 6 different patients, but their medical history and their injury history and their emotional history are so varied, and each one of those variations makes the precise diagnosis different for every one of those people. And it's when you get that precision that you have the opportunity to win with your frequency-specific microcurrent. And I think it's the combination of an MD and someone such as yourself who's trained in manual medicine and microcurrent that makes our practice much better able to conquer the problems that are presented to it. Now, do you think that's a fair way of describing what we do?
That's an absolutely fair way of describing what we do. I've found a number of people that the reason their back pain perhaps is not resolved is that they're not sleeping through the night. And we're finding ways of looking at, okay, why are they perhaps not sleeping through the night? And wouldn't you know, that has a huge effect on making headaches and back pain more easily treated. But if we ignored that piece of the puzzle, these people, they could be treated by anybody forever. So it really is a matter of asking the question, doing the history, and finding out what the issue is, because everybody is unique. We can't just slap a protocol and do the same thing on everybody. That's not the way we're doing this. We're being very precise in the diagnosis that you provide, and then we're being very specific in what it is that we treat, so it goes right to that particular issue. And again, with sleep being one of the big issues with many people, why are they not sleeping? And we can discuss that with the person, excuse me, and then we can deal with the pain complaint specifically, but we can also deal with what's perpetuating the pain complaint. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes it takes a little while to put that together, and sometimes the things that keep somebody, having a problem require them to purchase a machine so that they can take that home and become independent.
And that
about independence.
Sure, that really is the idea. I think if you're listening to us out there and you have a pain problem and it never seems to get resolved, you're pretty disgusted with the the medical profession in general, and maybe a particular practitioner in specific. But you deserve to live your life without that pain. Give frequency specific a try, and it will start by meeting me first if you haven't established with this office and this practice, so that I can work on trying to bring the pieces of your particular puzzle to the forefront, and then pass this off to Richard and giving him, I figured we both agreed it should take about no more than 3, maybe more in very rare cases, about 3 trips at most to focus in on what frequencies are better able to handle that person's problem. And once that's determined, then a patient can make a decision knowing they're getting relief on either coming on in and using our devices, which we can program for them, or they may make the step you just described where they want to actually purchase the device and be able to treat themselves at home. Take about 3 or 4 jumps to get there, wouldn't you say?
I do think that works that way, and it is so nice to have that at home when there is a real chronic problem that requires ongoing work. And, sadly, some people actually are in that position where that's necessary, but the beauty of it is now there's something they can do about it. And I love it when somebody can have actually something that can be done about a particular problem, because in my experience, there's not a lot that can be done for some people.
Well, let me ask you this. You've been here a couple of months now. You've had quite a sampling and smattering of patients I've sent you over. Pick one case in your mind that was such a miraculous turnaround, it even surprised you. How about if I put it that to Kat? It even surprised Richard. You got 1 or 2 of those? Just pick one, maybe.
Okay. Well, I will give one that I wasn't even aware of, and I wasn't even trying to help. So, I have a person with that had not told me about their sleep apnea. And I ran a protocol for a particular part of the brain, and the person fell asleep on my table and did not have any issues with the sleep apnea while they were on the table. So that I had no idea that, number one, the sleep apnea existed. They had so many other problems they wanted to talk about that one hadn't been revealed. So when I walked in the room and they were, sawing logs, that was great. I expect that periodically with people.
Yeah, they do get a endorphin release that really makes them very sleepy and very tired.
Yeah, that is just a wonderful feeling that people get. But I was absolutely not ready when the spouse in the room said, "You don't understand. He's not jerking all over the place. He's, it's like, okay, well, that's impressive." I was pretty well blown away by that. So those kind of things, happen all the time where we're treating something and the person comes back and says, hey, something else resolved. And I'm very often, well, I asked you lots of questions. Dr. Courtney asked you lots of questions. You never told us that. And again, people come in because there's something in particular that they have a complaint about. And what's really important is they need to open up and tell us everything.
Yeah.
The more we know, the more we can target whatever the issues are.
So I'm happy for that particular patient that, resolving sleep apnea, which is an anatomical obstruction, the tissue just sort of collapses and closes over top an airway, and people have gaps of sometimes multiple seconds to even minutes of time where they don't breathe. This cannot be good. The fact that you were able to help that person out, and we didn't even know about it. We just stumbled across that because, as I say, it didn't come up in the history, but it was a key component for them. And that is, I believe, the point that turned that particular case around for you. And we stumble across these things, sometimes stumble, sometimes guide it, but FSM allows us the opportunity to reverse a multi-year pain problem in a few short moments if we have the right frequencies. And the entire mystery, as she used to say, is in the history, is it not?
Absolutely it is.
All right. Look, I want to thank you for coming aboard today and allowing us to invade your driving time between A and B, wherever that is. Of course, I'll be seeing you in my office next week. And for those of you out there with your own pain problems, you may want to give us a call to come on in and be seen by Richard. It'll all start with me and work its way to him, and let's see if we can get your particular problem resolved. Any last comments you'd like to make before we say farewell?
I guess the take-home message is if you've tried everything, you haven't tried this, it's definitely worth a look-see.
Probably a fair way to leave it. Thank you so much, Richard, for coming aboard this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon.
There you go. Mr. Richard Finn in our office for the last couple of months working with frequency-specific microcurrents. There is a paradigm shift happening out there, folks. The way that medicine is going is not the pharmaceutical route. It won't be biochemical. It is electrical. And now that we're in the microcurrent realm, so many possibilities are now available that were not before. That's where you're going to see the changes. And you heard it here first. All right, let's do this. Just to switch some gears, take a short break. When we come back, with about the 10 minutes remaining, open it up to you. If you got a mind to call in to make a comment or ask a question, the number to do that, as you should know, is 412. Call us up, 412-825-6262. We'll be back for the gun lap portion of the show in just one moment. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to An Impact on Your Health. Here on a Friday morning, get them out of town version of the show. You can come on in here and set the agenda if you'd like to by dialing us up at 412-825-6262. I'll listen for a knock on the door. I'll let you in the store. We do have a knock on the door. Come on in. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Hi, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
I have a question about the microcurrent. I was trying to describe it to someone recently, and this person happened to be a physical therapist and was very aware of like the TENS unit. And she was saying, well, she had a hard time understanding how the microcurrent could get down to the deep level of the tissues. I was saying specifically with the eyes.
Oh, yes.
That the current, like if you put the two electrodes on either side of the temple there, not electrodes, but the two, contact points, he said it goes in one and comes out the other. And I was saying, no, I don't think that's how it works, but I really couldn't explain how it works.
Well, let's just, and I can understand the dilemma that the physical therapist has. They have had the opportunity to use TENS units and electrical stim for many years now. It's a great modality for people who have pain. But the problem is that it's just an enormous amount of electrical current. It's measured in milliamperes, thousands of an amp, which seems like it's small, but it's not. It's so overpowering that it jumbles up nerve impulses and ends up producing a desired result, meaning your pain goes away for as long as the device is on, simply because with that gush of energy, electrical impulses can't make it to the brain. We've used a freak phenomenon in a medically beneficial way for a long time. Microcurrent allows us to go a major step beyond, because microcurrent is now millionths of an amp. That is really stepped down, and at that level we can equal the movement of electrical activity as it occurs naturally. We can be in sync and in harmony with it, not overpowering it, but in sync with it, so as to direct our activity to the very tissues that are involved. With microcurrent, frequency specific, every anatomical part of the body has its own frequency, and we can put it into the body at 8 microamps, which is the normal travel anyway, and take and cause resonation of that particular body part in and bring it in harmony. If it's not working well, it's not vibrating at the proper frequency. We can help encourage to have it do so in milliseconds, in almost immediately, and then we can cancel out a pathological process that's going on, because every pathology also has its own frequency. So what a powerful tool. Putting in electrical activity at the same level that your body naturally has electricity moving through it, and then causing the frequencies to bring things back into health by having healthy tissue resonate once again at its innately healthy frequency, and canceling out any pathologies with a competing frequency. The combination of those two things make this a completely unique treatment that supersedes the pain benefit of the tens units, now that we're in the millions of the amp range. I hope that explanation clears it up.
Oh, that's a really good explanation. But part of what she was saying that threw me was she was saying it goes on in one side and comes out the other side.
Well, it actually enters the one side and travels through your entire body to leave on the other side. So if you were talking about leads on the head, the passage of the current isn't, let's say, from one ear out the other side to the other ear. No, it doesn't travel directly. It circuitously permeates through the entire body and completing a circuit. As it enters in one side of the head, it must travel through the entire body to ultimately exit on the other side after a long journey, not a direct from one ear to the other. I hope that clears that up.
That makes sense. Absolutely, that makes sense.
Thank you for the question.
So off. My quick question.
Oh, I think they got cut off. Anyway, hopefully, and I know this patient will call in the next time and ask that one again. Great question right at the end of FSM. Look, it's Friday. You have a wonderful weekend. Look forward to seeing you on Monday with Dr. John Tobridge. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney saying so long for AM Impact on Your Health.